So not everything from the scientific management was all that bad. In fact, scientific management laid the foundations for standardization that have followed us right into standardization as the basis for continuous improvement. There were other contributors besides Taylor, but remember that scientific management definitely tipped the operations and human scale or balance in the operational direction. And so there was quite a human outcry based on the application of scientific management. Let's look at some of these other folks and what particular part of scientific management they contributed to. So the first one, remember that we said that Taylor said that you needed to observe, measure, and analyze if you were doing scientific management. So that sort of thing on steroids is something called the motion study, and this would be where a highly trained engineer with a clipboard and a stopwatch would time each and every movement, so thus the idea of motion study, time each and every movement of a worker doing the task in a process. So Frank Gilbreth was the guy that was the father of the motion study. And he would set up cameras, motion picture cameras, and with large stopwatch displays behind them, and record workers doing a task over and over and over again to try and get to one, what is the standard best way to do this, and number two, what is the timing of that standard best way to do this. Second, you'll remember that it was the job of management to plan the work. So Henry Gantt came up with a scheduling solution for production scheduling, and that's called the Gantt chart. We use it today in project management. It's ubiquitous. We use Gantt charts all over the place, and Gantt came up with that method. So another contributor to scientific management, that it's a thread that we pulled forward into our current management thinking today. And then lastly, probably the most famous would be Henry Ford, standardization for each task. So like Gilbreth was looking at taking the steps in a process, breaking those steps down into individual tasks, putting each worker into one of those tasks, and then lining them up in an assembly line to get this idea of mass production. So as the advent of the automobile, the demand for the automobile rose, the demand for efficiency in operations rose. Remember though, we're talking about low customization at this point. Ford famous for his statement that if you want a Ford, great, you can have a Ford as long as you want a black one. We'll take a look at the next movement, the human relations movement, in the next few segments. If you have any questions on the scientific management movement, take a look at the text, take a look at the YouTube videos that I have in our Blackboard file, and last but not least, feel free to give me a call or text. Thanks.